Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. This is a bonus edition of Palace Intrigue covering the latest information regarding King Charles. An episode of Palace Intrigue was released in this feed earlier today, which covered other royal news. Buckingham Palace has confirmed that King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer following his hospitalization for a benign prostate enlargement. The King has commenced treatment for his cancer and has been advised by doctors to postpone public-facing duties. According to The Telegraph, King Charles has maintained his usual good form after undergoing his initial cancer treatment, despite being a little frustrated by how his diagnosis has influenced not only his own schedule but also the plans of those around him. The King has returned to Clarence House to commence his recovery. With the support of aides and the Queen, he plans to fulfill some of his state responsibilities from home. A source from the palace shared with the publication, "He's on his usual good form in every way, just a little frustrated that his condition has affected not just his own plans but impacted on others. In addition to managing his duties, the King has reportedly been staying in close communication with his family, including both of his sons." King Charles is anticipated to temporarily step back from his royal responsibilities for an extended period, with the palace yet to specify a date for his return. Despite this, palace officials have assured that the King eagerly anticipates resuming his duties at the earliest opportunity and will continue to review government red boxes during his treatment phase. It seems unlikely that the King will participate in the upcoming Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey on March 11th, an event traditionally attended by the royal family's senior figures, while Buckingham Palace has expressed the King's desire to return to full public duty as soon as possible. His presence at future engagements, including the 80th anniversary of D-Day in June, remains uncertain. The palace has not indicated any immediate plans to appoint councillors of state to assume the King's official functions during his absence. Buckingham Palace has released a statement saying, "During the King's recent hospital procedure for benign prostate enlargement, a separate issue of concern was noted. Subsequent diagnostic tests have identified a form of cancer. His Majesty has today commenced a schedule of regular treatments, during which time he has been advised by doctors to postpone public-facing duties. Throughout this period, His Majesty will continue to undertake state business and official paperwork as usual. The King is grateful to his medical team for their swift intervention, which was made possible thanks to his recent hospital procedure. He remains wholly positive about his treatment and looks forward to returning to full public duty as soon as possible. His Majesty has chosen to share his diagnosis to prevent speculation and in the hope it may assist public undertaking for all those around the world who are affected by cancer." The Mirror used the phrasing, "Charles' condition is not typical," and added his secondary diagnosis and treatment plan have not yet been confirmed by doctors, royal sources claimed. This morning, ITV's Chris Shipp reported, after an overnight flight from LAX, it seems Prince Harry has landed at Heathrow Airport and is now on his way to see his father, King Charles. We understand that Harry arrived in London at 12:20 local time. Princess Anne was observed awarding honours at Windsor Castle on Tuesday morning, marking her initial public appearance following the announcement of her brother's cancer diagnosis. As King Charles has been advised to postpone public-facing duties due to his treatment, members of the royal family are coming together to support the monarch. Despite this, Charles will continue to perform state business and manage official documents. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla is set to persist with her public engagements as her husband receives cancer treatment, as confirmed by the palace. Prince William's upcoming agenda includes an investiture ceremony at Windsor Castle scheduled for 2 days from now. Additionally, on Wednesday evening, he is slated to participate in the London Air Ambulance's annual fundraising gala in central London. Downing Street clarified earlier remarks made by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak regarding King Charles' cancer diagnosis. Sunak had emphasised that it was caught early in response to inquiries about the nature of Sunak's comments and whether he anticipates continuing his weekly meetings with the King. Number 10 emphasised its stance on not engaging in a running commentary on the discussions between Sunak and the King. The clarification came after questions were raised about the basis for Sunak's statement that the cancer was detected early. Downing Street pointed to the Buckingham Palace announcement, which highlighted the prompt action taken by the King's medical team as the context for Sunak's remark. Sunak's official spokesman further stated, "The PM's obviously said that contact will continue, but we don't get into a running commentary on those meetings, reaffirming the Prime Minister's intention to maintain regular communication with the King without publicly detailing those interactions." On Twitter, Piers Morgan expressed his concerns about Buckingham Palace's decision not to disclose the specific type of cancer affecting King Charles III. He argued, "Increasingly untenable for Buckingham Palace not to say what cancer King Charles III has got. Speculation is running riot all over the world. If, as I'm sure he does, Charles wants to help others, far better to be specific about his condition." Responding to Morgan's call for more transparency, a follower suggested patience, noting, "But it's possible, even likely, that they don't know the full details yet. These tests take time. They've been very open thus far. I imagine more to come when they're ready to know things for certain." Unconvinced, Morgan countered, "He's already having treatment for it. They know." Christina Curacao, King Charles' former communications secretary, discussed the palace's communication strategy on Good Morning Britain, addressing the hosts, Susanna Reid and Richard Madeley, and responding to inquiries about the non-disclosure of the cancer type. Curacao emphasized the potential for unwarranted speculation. Curacao remarked, "I have to say I wouldn't open the door more. They've said a form of cancer has been found, and I personally wouldn't have advised you to go further and say what type of cancer. I think there's plenty of time for that. The trouble is, the more information you give, the more people speculate." She interpreted the palace's statement as indicative of the condition being treatable, expressing the hope for King Charles' recovery. Curacao also noted the monarchy's preference to avoid becoming the focal point of public attention, focusing instead of their duties to the public. She speculated that in time, King Charles might share more about his experience and treatment. Palace Intrigue will be right back. While undergoing treatment in London, the Royal Standard flag will be flown in the capital, signalling the King's presence in the city. However, King Charles will be staying at Clarence House, not Buckingham Palace, due to ongoing renovations at the latter. The Royal Standard flag is traditionally flown to denote the monarch's presence at a royal residence, on their vehicle during official duties, and on aircraft before flights related to their official roles. It may also be displayed on buildings the monarch is visiting upon request by the building's owners or managers, not the monarch. When the sovereign attends Parliament, the flag is hoisted above the Victoria Tower. Notably, the Royal Standard is not flown over churches or cathedrals and does not fly at half-mast because the succession of monarchy is immediate, with the flag raised wherever the new monarch is located. The Royal Standard itself is a flag divided into 4 quadrants, representing the unity of the United Kingdom and its sovereign. The flag features the 3 lions of England in 2 quadrants, a lion rampant for Scotland, and a harp for Ireland, with Wales not included due to its status as a principality recognised before Scotland and Ireland's symbols were added to the royal arms. The Union of the Crowns in 1603 initiated the use of a unified flag, leading to the creation of the Union Jack and variations of the Royal Standard used over the centuries. In Scotland, an alternate version of the Royal Standard is used, emphasising the Scottish lion rampant. Amanda Platel in the Daily Mail writes, "My immediate response to the news Prince Harry is planning to rush back from California to be by the bedside of his pa. At least there is one silver lining to the grim news of the King's cancer. How truly wonderful it would be if the bitterness between Princes William and Harry could dissipate in these most difficult of circumstances, if they united in a common cause of love and concern for their father. But then reality kicked in, and I thought to myself, how exactly would it work? How could the family forgive and forget all the wrongs Harry has visited on them? How would the scheduling of the family visits actually work while Charles is undergoing treatment or recuperating? And what of Camilla? The Queen will, I imagine, be the gatekeeper determining who sees her husband where and when. And yet Harry described her in his book Spare, for which he received a $20 million advance, as a dangerous villain who leaked harmful stories about him to improve her own reputation. He said she was someone who sacrificed me on her own personal PR altar. Who would blame her if Harry is the least of her concerns? As for William, who Harry accused in Spare of knocking him to the floor in a red mist of rage and described in his book as his arch-nemesis, can there ever be a reconciliation? Then there is the Princess of Wales, whom the Sussex's official biographer and mouthpiece, Omid Scobie, described as cold, a Stepford-like royal wife, and to whom Harry also seems to have referred obliquely and cuttingly in Spare. I think for so many people in the royal family, especially obviously men, there can be a temptation or an urge to marry someone who fits the mould as opposed to somebody who perhaps you were destined to be with. How could Kate bear to be in the same room as Harry, let alone sit by Charles's bedside alongside him, especially after both she and the king were named by Scobie in his book Endgame as the racists who supposedly raised concerns about the skin colour of baby Archie. So in a way, it must be a huge relief for all working royals that Harry's visit is likely to be brief. Palace Intrigue will continue to release bonus episodes as warranted alongside our normal morning schedule. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. And if you want to get these updates and be alerted every time there is breaking news, all you have to do is hit follow or subscribe on your app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.